Awesome. First of all, I just want to say thanks to Oculus for accepting me into this program. It's been fantastic, beyond my wildest dreams. I also want to say thank you to all my fellow Launchpad participants for, I think a lot of people can share in this, in that seeing everyone doing such great, inspiring work really, encouraged me to kind of push on and keep making things. And also thanks to everyone who helped me out on Discord throughout the past couple of months. So my name's Brett. I want to talk to you about Jukebox Beatdown. And what this game is fundamentally is it's music videos plus boss battles. And the theming around this is that you play as Cleft and Crite, the two most creative names ever, for your left and right hand. And two aliens that are trying to get to the top of the Billboard Galaxy Top 10. And to do that, they will need to fight 10 musician warriors that each represent a different genre of music and have a unique attack style. So what I want to talk about in this brief 6 minutes is kind of the past, the present, and the future of this project, plus like a brief sort of post-mortem on lessons I learned from this project that hopefully other people can use going forward. So when I started this project, I had sort of two goals in mind. The one thing that I had realized over time was that the games I had really enjoyed in the past couple of years had a lot of personality, and they were kind of quality over quantity. Games like Undertale was one big example, Shadow of the Colossus, and they were built around characters. So that was one thing in mind. And the other thing that came to mind was, is this echoing a lot? Okay. The other thing I want to keep in mind was that I just moved to LA, so I wanted to do something very short. So given those two goals, I came up with the idea for this, which was to combine the boss rush genre of games, like Shadow of the Colossus and Cuphead on the left-hand side, with the expressiveness, if you will, of music videos like Grooves in the Heart on the top left by D-Light, and the Seven Nation Army by White Stripes, and sort of mend those together to make a kind of Fantasia sort of experience, an interactive Fantasia, as my collaborator Ben Young calls it, who's the composer. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you just a minute of our first boss, the disco-themed boss called Funky Franny. In this first little slice, we're going to see, what I'll point out to you, is 4 different elements: rhythm, melody, hits, for lack of a better term, and phases. And these are sort of the key features of this game from a mechanical standpoint. So we built the game so that you, as the player, use rhythm, and when you shoot your little bullets on the rhythm of the song, you get a damage multiplier, and also your bullets get larger. The enemy, on the other hand, the boss, is attacking on the melody. So every song, or most of the sounds, most of the tracks that are within the song have been hooked up to elements within the level. And finally, we also have different phases throughout the song. So with my collaborator Ben, we made a disco song that was 4 phases they're relatively distinct, and you can see the gameplay changing to match each of those. So what I do, we'll show you this section. So at the beginning, you can see she's attacking. She's setting up the disco balls with the horns, and she's setting up those electrical sparks with the synth. And as we're shooting to the beat, the bullets get larger and larger. And then when we get hit, as will be in just a second, the music distorts for a second. And finally, now that we're in the second song, you can see Funky Franny is utilizing a different set of attacks. section, I believe, and her spin attack is tied to 6. And this goes on and on for another 2 minutes of song. So what we want to do going forward is build out the rest of these bosses. My favorite part of this project, hands down, was writing all these music puns in the Galaxy Top 10. I think the next one that the next boss we want to work on is a guy named Kumquat, who, if you know the artist Marshmallow, is a similar kind of parody of that guy. There just seems to be a lot of musicians right now that are putting fruit on their head. So I wanted to play a little bit of homage to that. And the other thing that we want to do is to get closer to that idea of interactive, playable Fantasia, Disney Fantasia, is to hook up more of the visuals to our to the music. So finally, I just want to talk about 4 things I learned through this experience. Throughout this whole process, I had a development block, and these are some of the big things I kind of took away from that. The first one is just bringing in key collaborators early. I brought the composer Ben into the project really early, and what that allowed us to do is to sidestep a lot of unnecessary paths. So initially this game was going to be a game with classical music. And Ben basically said, it's going to be so hard to find a beat in that makes sense unless we remix it as like a trap thing. And so we totally sidestepped that. The other thing that was really a useful kind of rule of thumb for us was just play testing constantly, even when it didn't really feel comfortable. I remember in the last week that we were working on before the deadline. I had my friend Alex, who's a very intense Russian guy, come over, and I was like, I really don't want to show him the game now. And I showed it to him, and he basically said, in more colorful language, the frame rate sucks. And as that's not great to hear. What was good about it is it helped me realize, okay, that's what I need to focus on. I don't need to build more attacks for Franny. I don't need to build out more sound effects. That's what I need to focus on. And it really helped me kind of recalibrate the project to player taste throughout. The other thing is playing to the strengths of the team that you have. One of the things when I started this project, I was working at a job where I had billable hours, and one of the metric that I started using was if I take any individual thing, like say a poster or the logo at the bottom right, and I measure how long I think it's going to take me times the rate I'm billing this company. Is it more expensive for me to do it myself, or for someone on Fiverr to do it? And most of the time, unless it was a program or design thing, the Fiverr thing was a lot cheaper, much cheaper, and that allowed us, I think, to get a higher level of polish faster, and I think, in a sense, for less money, if time is money, right? And finally, the last thing was. One of the things that we've done in this project that was kind of unique is every single sprint, because we were working agile, every single sprint we said, we're going to fix one thing with our workflow that's kind of broken. And that actually saved us a tremendous amount of time. We basically, in December, there was a huge Unity sale. We got $100 of these assets that were all workflow related, and we would just pull them off sprint by sprint. And I can honestly say that really helped our reducing technical debt over time. So finally, if you're interested in this project, or if you're interested in reading more from the development blog, feel free to scan that, and it'll bring you to where we have our mailing list and the development blog. So yeah, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you all today.